And so now Will is going to help get us off to a good start by sharing an inspiration with us. Will is the chair of the Sunday Assembly Portland Board. He's an avid basketball player, and I might add, he's not afraid to get a black eye playing basketball. Here's Will.
Thank you. Excuse me, I just want my stand here for a second. So this inspiration piece it's supposed to be one of us from the community telling you something that inspired us. And this topic being sexuality, I had to think of something, family friendly here. So I'm just going to tell you a story, an inspirational experience I had. So back in college, I received an invitation from my girlfriend. She wanted us to go to this weekend sex seminar that was happening on campus. And here's the concept. It was to be 2 6-hour sessions in a lecture hall. Sections. Sessions? Okay. So this was going to be 12 hours of my weekend sitting with 180 classmates, learning about where babies come from and the difference between sex, gender, and sexual orientation and STDs. And the idea wasn't really appealing to me because I'd learned all this stuff before. It'd been taught to me previously. But also my boundaries in this area were very, very close. And this sounded very, very awkward. And I don't know, it's like I felt that if we sat in the same room talking about vaginas and penises long enough, it's like our genitals would sublimate into the air and form like a fine anatomical mist. So I was leery. But girlfriends, they have a way of talking you into things. And she wanted me to go to the sex seminar. So I went to the sex seminar. And I got to admit, for a while, it was pretty damn awkward. I felt like talking about sex for so long in such a public format, it kind of made me hyper aware of my body and everyone else's. It's like my clothing became transparent somehow because we're talking about, the private bits. Now everyone's maybe thinking about mine. I don't know. Yeah. Is that what you're doing right now? And also, so much of the material was boring, and it was awkward. Isn't it weird how enticing sex is, but how boring reproduction can seem when you're learning about it? I think I've learned about the reproductive system like 15 times in my life, and I'm still not totally sure what a vas deferens is. And you also know how in college, especially in liberal arts classes, there are always those students who just want to share their own personal perspective on every freaking topic that the teacher talks about. So now imagine that phenomenon in a sex seminar. There were probably a half dozen people whose names I never learned, but I had excruciating detail on how they like to get busy. But I also noticed something else as time went on. It's like the constant pushing of my personal boundaries caused them to grow and to become porous. I was becoming inoculated to everyone else's awkward stories, and I was actually starting to think about what I could learn from them. Maybe they're not starting to feel so awkward anymore. How could I worry about feeling embarrassed or awkward in a private room with my trusted loved one when all these strangers were sharing themselves so openly and frankly? And the end of the seminar was this grand finale, a game show portion where students answered questions about the material in order to win prizes. And so here are all my peers and my classmates, and me too, talking about sex openly and honestly, sharing knowledge and experience, and gleefully going to the front of the classroom to select awards of condoms and lube and sex toys of all shapes and sizes, things I didn't know existed. But then I did, and they brought them back to their seats and showing them off to their friends, getting excited about how to use them. And whether appropriate or not, there is something special, something a little bit transformative when you eventually push on those barriers enough with another group of adults in the same room and talk frankly, openly, and honestly about sex. Because after that happens, where you experience so much joy and so much openness, so much honesty, you don't feel so awkward talking about the birds and the bees. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for guiding us through that visual experience. Wonderful.